2 months ago, we got the second Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, and it was great. After the trailer released, I've been thinking about how the game would play. I've wondered about what the dungeons would be like, and how they would be accessed. So that's why I've made this video. I'll be going through what I hope Breath of the Wild 2 will be like when it releases. I won't be going through anything related to the story, as that would be a bit too fanfiction-y. This video is mostly speculation on the dungeons, however I may be going through some plot points relating to said dungeons. We've got next to no information on the sequel to Breath of the Wild, so this video is only how I hope the dungeons will be approached in it. If you end up enjoying this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Doing that helps out my channel a lot, so any support would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's start this video. Before we begin looking at these dungeons, I have to quickly say that I believe Breath of the Wild 2 will be a mixture of the new open air gameplay style and the old linear approach. I feel that the sequel to Breath of the Wild will be more story focused, so the game may be more restricted. Unlike in the original Breath of the Wild, I believe some dungeons may have to be tackled after other dungeons have been completed. Now that I've got that out of the way, let's look at the first 3 dungeons of Breath of the Wild 2. Now I believe that we won't be able to reach the sky at the beginning of the game. Instead, I believe that Link will have to go through 3 dungeons in order to obtain a certain ability that allows him to go above the clouds. I also believe that a large crack in the earth may have opened up, just like the ones in Hyrule. This crack will split the west half of Hyrule at the beginning of the game. This gives the players a large area to explore. In Breath of the Wild, we see the 3 elemental dragons. Farosh, Dinral and Naydra fly through a portal in the sky. I believe that this portal leads into the Sky World. Link, seeking out this ability, searches for the 3 dragons at the 3 springs. However, he soon learns that the 3 dragons were corrupted by Ganondorf's malice. The 3 dragons retreated to their springs and into the dungeons below. Yes, I believe that the 3 springs will hold the first 3 dungeons of the game. The first 3 can be completed in any order, so let's start with the dungeon underneath the Spring of Courage. This dungeon will be a mixture between a water, forest and electric dungeon. It will be very similar to Skyview Temple from Skyward Sword, however it won't be as dark. Farosh will be found towards the end of the dungeon. It will attempt to fly away from Link, destroying the dungeon around it, revealing that the dungeon led to the area directly underneath Lake Hylia. However, due to the cracks in the earth, the lake will be drained. The drained lake will be the location of the boss arena. The boss of this dungeon will be Farosh. Upon defeating Farosh, the dragon's curse will be lifted. Farosh gives Link a scale that allows him to swim underwater, and an orb that when combined with 2 others will allow him to ascend above the clouds. Let's look at the Spring of Wisdom dungeon next. Naydra has once again been corrupted, and just like Farosh, it retreated to the dungeon below its spring. This dungeon will be a dark, dimly lit cavern. It will be reminiscent of the darker areas in the ancient cistern. The walls will also be filled with architecture similar to the ones found in the Lanayru Promenade. Towards the end of the dungeon, Link will find Naydra. Just like Farosh, Naydra will fling itself out of the dungeon, this time to the side, revealing that the dungeon led to the Lanayru Promenade. The boss will be Naydra, and the arena is the whole of the Lanayru Promenade. Upon defeating Naydra, the dragon will stop being corrupted. Naydra will give Link an item, however I'm not too sure what it would be. Naydra would also give him another orb. Finally, let's look at the Spring of Power dungeon. Dinral, like the other 2 dragons, would be corrupted by malice, and it would fly under its spring into the dungeon below. This dungeon would fill the role of the Fire and Earth dungeon. It would be called the Earth Temple, and it would be the same one from Skyward Sword. Yet again, at the end of the dungeon, Link would find the elemental dragon. This time, it's Dinral. Dinral would crash through the roof, revealing that the dungeon led underneath the large dome in Death Mountain. This is the battle arena where Link will fight Dinral. In the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, we see that Death Mountain appeared to have been drained of all its lava, so it makes sense that Link can stand on it. Upon defeating Dinral, the dragon will be cured from its curse. Dinral will give Link the dragon flamethrower and an orb. A cutscene will play where Link connects the 3 orbs. This causes his hand to gain a new ability, the ability to soar to the sky. With the ability to soar to the sky, the world has now fully opened up. You can now do 3 main things. You can go straight to the final dungeon to face Ganondorf and beat the game. you can complete 3 dungeons in the sky and 1 on the surface to fix the Master Sword, or you can visit other settlements and help with their problems in the dying world. 2 dungeons can be completed by doing this. I'm going to quickly go through the events surrounding each dungeon. We'll start with the Fixing the Master Sword quest. In the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, the Master Sword appeared to have been severely damaged by malice. This is why I believe that there will be some sort of main quest that focuses on repairing the Master Sword. In order to fix the Master Sword, I believe that Link will have to obtain 3 MacGuffins that can upgrade his sword. Perhaps the 3 flames of the goddesses could return from Skyward Sword. These 3 MacGuffins will be found in dungeons in the sky. I'm not too sure on what the themes in these dungeons could be, however. After obtaining the 3 MacGuffins, Link must complete one final dungeon in order to fully fix the Master Sword. This dungeon will take place in the caves under Hyrule Castle, and it will lead to below the Forgotten Temple and inside the goddess statue found there. This is where Link can finally repair the Master Sword. Next, let's look at the optional side dungeons. These dungeons will not be required in the story, but will be recommended. The first of the 2 is the Gerudo Dungeon. This dungeon will be found in the Gerudo Desert and can only be accessed underneath the statues of the 7 heroines. I would describe this dungeon as being very similar to the Spirit Temple from Ocarina of Time. This dungeon would lead under Spectacle Rock. At the end of the dungeon, Link will encounter the boss sleeping. The boss for this dungeon would be a large sand golem. When approached, it would break out of the right side of Spectacle Rock, where Vanabura stands. Spectacle Rock would be the battle arena for this boss. In order to destroy this golem, Link would have to scale up its back. I'd imagine it to be similar to the egg golem from Sonic Adventure 2. Upon defeating it, Link will obtain a new ability in his arm, one similar to Urbash's Fury. I haven't talked much about his arm abilities yet, so I'll quickly go through how I believe it will work. I believe it will mostly work the same as the Sheikah Slate, however there will be some differences. In Breath of the Wild 2, I want some runes to be optional, whether they are obtained via side quests or by completing dungeons. This would act as a way for players to always be working towards something as they play through the game. The second optional dungeon will be found in the Hyrule region, to the north of Lake Killsea. This will be a full-on ice dungeon, however I imagine it also being this game's Ghostly dungeon. This will be where the souls of lost travellers in the blizzards of Hebra end up. It will be filled with the spookier Zelda enemies, including Stalfos, Gibdo and Pose. The dungeon leads directly under Hebra Peak, where the boss is found. I'd imagine the boss to be like Blizzetta, however instead of a Yeti being inside the ice, it will be a big Poe. This boss will break out of the mountain, revealing the arena to be the top of Hebra Peak. Like the Sand Golem fight, Link will have to scale this boss in order to strike its eye. When he does, the big Poe will be revealed. The arm ability earned from this boss will be the game's equivalent to Revali's Gale. Finally, we have the final dungeon, Hyrule Castle. It will be mostly the same dungeon from Breath of the Wild, except the final boss will not be in the throne room, as it was destroyed in the original game. Instead, it will take place in the Cut Great Hall. It can only be accessed by finding the Big Key. The Big Key will be hidden away in the now expanded castle, and at first there will be no clues on how to find it. The player will be required to search extensively for the key. It will be guarded by a mini-boss. The final boss will be a one-on-one sword fight with Ganondorf, similar to the Bringer of Demise from Skyward Sword. However, it will be much harder. Ganondorf's attacks will be quick and it will deal high amounts of damage. He will wield 2 swords as well, just like in Hyrule Warriors. He also will have the highest amount of HP out of any enemy in Breath of the Wild and Breath of the Wild 2. After defeating him, that will be it, the game's over. Obviously I haven't thought about what the story could be in this game, only the plot points that drive the game forward. Well, that's it. I don't know why I made this video, I just wanted to do a quick imaginative exercise. This is how I hope Breath of the Wild 2 will turn out. I know I'm most likely completely wrong, but I wasn't really trying to be right in this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, I would appreciate it a lot. Anyway, that's all I have to say today, goodbye.